Good evening. I'd like to start the Government Operations Committee for Tuesday, January 17th, 2022. Roll call, please.
Calamaris.
Yes.
P. Here. Bongard.
Here.
Bancroft.
Here.
Lencioni.
Yes.
Petrola.
Here.
Wirball.
Here.
Besner.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
Thank you. We have one omnibus vote tonight. Can I have a motion and a second, please? Motion.
Second.
Moved by Bill, second by Rita. Roll call, please.
Calamaris.
Yes.
P.
Yes.
Bongard.
Yes.
Bancroft.
Yes.
Lencioni.
Yes.
Petrola.
Yes.
Wirball.
Yes.
Besner.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes. 4, Police Department. Recommendation to approve an ordinance amending Title V Business Licenses and Regulations, Chapter 5.08, Alcoholic Beverages, Sections 5.08.090, License Classifications, and 5.08.100, Licensees for St. Charles Municipal Code. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Sokaitis. This advanced earlier this evening with a 3-0 recommendation from the Liquor Control Commission. This is solely a liquor modification to our current D8 licensure. As you know, we pride ourselves on working with applicants and being business friendly within the city of St. Charles. We had to modify some of the language to accommodate a license that you're going to hear about that follows this presentation for a culinary arts or cooking school. I can answer any questions that the committee might have.
Any questions or comments from the committee? Paul.
Everyone. The one thing that I think about in this, it makes total sense that there's a liquor license for this, but I also do think about the fact that people will be at one point cooking, so working in what you could think of as a somewhat hazardous environment, and then enjoying, which is absolutely terrific to enjoy alcoholic beverages. Was there any discussion of that, or are we just relying on the business owner to make sure that alcoholic beverages are consumed in a safe way?
You know, that presentation is going to follow this one, Alderman Lencioni, so I think that might be a good question for the petitioner.
Okay.
Right after we're done with the code modification.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Yep. Move for approval. Second.
Moved by Rita, seconded by Brian. Let's do a roll call on this one.
Calamaris.
Yes.
P.
Yes.
Bongard.
Yes.
Bancroft.
Yes.
Lencioni.
Yes.
Petrola.
Yes.
Wirball.
Yes.
Besner.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes. Item 4B, recommendation to approve a proposal for D8 liquor license applications for Need LLC, doing business as Box Den Cooking, located at 131 South First Street in St. Charles.
Thank you, Mr. Sokaitis. So this too advanced with a 3-0 recommendation from earlier this evening at the Liquor Control Commission. The applicants or petitioners are local to St. Charles. Their background was vetted. There was no issues whatsoever. They would like to open up a cooking school that would host 12 students at a time in 2-hour sessions. Their hours of operation would be from 4:30 to 10:30 Thursday and Friday, and from 11:30 to 10:30 Saturday and Sunday. They do have a restaurant in Geneva. This is the previous bakery location, and the business is already operational. The petitioner is present. If she can maybe join me at the podium to answer the question that was brought up by Mr. Lencioni.
Can I have your name for the record, please?
Jessica Evans.
Thank you. Paul, go ahead.
Sure. So my question was, is this is a kind of an expansion that makes sense, I think, in our liquor code. But the question that I had in thinking about it is there's going to be a period where you're going to have people working with knives and preparing things, and then, of course, you're going to enjoy the meal afterwards, which is a terrific place to enjoy alcohol beverages. So what was your thought on the best model to make sure that people are drinking when it's safe, you know, and making sure that people aren't drinking while they're doing knife work and things like that?
I mean, I can treat it like you would at a wedding, where you close the bar while you're cooking.
Okay.
They can partake in a glass of wine if they'd like, right before they start cooking, when they're washing their hands and getting their aprons on and whatnot. And then once we start cooking, I can halt the drinking of alcohol and start it again when they eat their meal and like its completion at the end.
Okay. I think that's fine, and that's why I brought it out as chief, is that something that I don't want to complicate any statute. I think probably in thinking about it, it makes a lot of sense to rely on the business owner. You have appropriate licensure and things like that, and if anything, you know, there was any, in a different situation, just thinking about it, you know, not in your specific situation, if there was any negligence, I mean, there would be repercussions. I think that we probably don't need to address it in there.
Yeah, I would think we probably wouldn't need to collapse that into
No.
the liquor license itself, but I mean, obviously the petitioner's amenable to the oversight, and obviously they're responsible for the actions of their license, so I think with that, she'll take the proper precautions.
I want them to be safe. There's knives involved.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. It's a question that I had when I was reading it, so I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Any other questions, Rita?
Yeah, to ease Alderman Lencioni's mind, I did this, there's a business in Glen Ellen that is very similar. I'm telling you, they had us so busy. I had one sip of wine and, you know, time, yeah, you gotta go. So there isn't a whole lot of leisurely, but my question was, is there gonna be the sale of packaged goods too?
Like what they eat, or?
No, well, in the application, it says there'll also be sale of closed alcohol product to customer. What did that mean?
I was told that it was just going to be beer and wine consumption and sales. And that would be carry out. It would be carry out alcohol packaged.
I was planning on it.
Okay, yeah, it was handwritten in the
I
application.
believe that was the food that maybe wasn't, in the background that came up as far as folks leaving with maybe a partially consumed bottle of wine, as long as it's in the sealed bag.
Oh,
That was the question. I was, because the question is on-premise or off-premise, you know, and most people in here never even worked in alcohol, don't think about the difference. And where it could be on-premise, you're just talking about on-premise sales, but, you know, competent closure, so it could be transported. That's something that is standard on-premise consumption.
oh, no, I know that, but the implication it was that they were gonna be selling packaged goods. So I wanted clarification on
No
that.
off-premise sales.
No, pardon?
Off-premise, it'd be termed as off-premise sales.
Okay,
There will not,
okay, thank you.
other than the partially consumed bottle of wine.
Yep, got it. Thank you.
Control that cost.
Any other questions or comments? Motion and second.
Move for approval.
I'll second it. Moved by Brian, seconded by Steve. Roll call, please.
Calamaris?
Yes.
Paylighter?
Yes.
Bonegard?
Yes.
Bancroft?
Yes.
Lencioni?
Yes.
Petrola?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes. Thank you. That motion passes. We have item 4C, and we are not going to have this discussion tonight.
Mr. Soketis, this was tabled at the Liquor Control Commission by agreement with the petitioner and the city. There's some information that we need to discern in their background and whether or not we bring this forward for council consideration at a future date.
Do we need to have a motion to table? Okay. Thank you. Okay, so that's taken care of. Okay, now we go to 4D, recommendation to approve proposal for an ASIC liquor license application for, okay, I don't want to mess up the name. Casuta? Okay, thank you. Casuta, LLC, doing business as BP Gas Station located at 1660 West Main Street in St. Charles.
Thank you, Mr. Soketis. This too advanced with a 3-0 recommendation at the Liquor Control Commission. This is a pending asset sale that's contingent upon the successful issuance of a liquor license. The petitioner has also applied for a tobacco license that will be handled administratively. The current business has both an alcohol A6 license and a tobacco license. The Patels are here to answer any questions that you might have. They are friends with the current owner, and once again, the sale is contingent upon the issuance of the licensure. With that, either the Patels or myself can answer any questions you might have.
Any questions or comments on this application? Seeing none, can I have a motion and a second, please?
Move for approval.
Moved by Brian. Second. Second by Bill. A roll call, please.
Calamaris?
Yes.
Paylighter?
Yes.
Bonegard?
Yes.
Bancroft?
Yes.
Lencioni?
Yes.
Petrola?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes. Thank you. That motion passes. Go to 5B, recommendation to approve a Microsoft Enterprise Agreement subscription from Dell Marketing LP in the amount of $236,478. Good evening.
Thank you, Chairman Skaitis. Yeah, so the bulk of what the enterprise agreement is going to be covering is a subscription for Microsoft 365. So I have a few slides here to kind of explain the product, what we've been purchasing, and the rationale for doing this. Microsoft 365 is really a cloud-based software, so it's hosted by Microsoft. It includes an email server, hosted email server, as well as collaboration software such as SharePoint, OneDrive, and Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is very much like Zoom. SharePoint is an internet solution. And the other part of Microsoft 365 is subscription licensing for office productivity software. A lot of main ones you're probably well aware of: Word, Excel, PowerPoint, which is what we're using here, and Access. And by subscription licensing, what we mean is that this is now becomes an annual operating cost as opposed to purchasing one-time purchase of software every 3 to 4 years. This is basically a continual new version of Office software that we will always have. And the reason why we're doing this right now, really, there's one of the core reasons that we're making the change now, proposing the change to 365, is our current on-premise email server solution is end of life, end of support. So it's a good time to move forward with it. And it would obviate the need for new hardware and software as well as service to implement, and as well as the Microsoft 365 platform has security built into it, that which we would not be able to replicate on-premise. Secondly, we're looking at replacing our INET software as well too, the staff internet, which many of you are aware of. That is also ending support, and a redesign is really needed. And we're going to use SharePoint Online as the platform for INET. And finally, we'll be replacing our enterprise version of our full Office suite. So instead of going out and buying all that software, we're planning on using Microsoft 365 and the subscription licensing that goes along with that. And it's bundled with all the rest of the software as part of the package. So the method that we're planning on or proposing to do to purchase Microsoft 365 is use this Microsoft Enterprise Agreement. It's a 3-year commitment. It allows us to have fixed annual costs, and it provides volume discounts. So the software is discounted by using this mechanism. We're purchasing it through Dell Marketing, and they have the state contract. They won the state contract through a competitive bid, so it's an Illinois state master contract. Annual cost about $78,000 per year for a 3-year total of about $236,000, and we'll be funding this through the Equipment Replacement Fund. So, any questions?
Questions or comments from the committee? Paul?
Yes.
I'm curious, was it necessary to audit different user needs to make sure that different groups of people don't get more services than they need?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and that's the beauty of the Microsoft 365 is they allow you to kind of tier the use based on users. So we have a lot of what we call kiosk users, staff that work in the field. Right now, we're needing, when they come into office, if they do, we have a full Office suite. Now we don't have to do that. This is a so-called kiosk license, which is a lot less than a full license of Office software.
Okay, so when we look at this price, is this a max price before, or have you already done all the work to see what each user group is gonna need?
Yeah, all the work has been done.
All it's been.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? A motion and a second, please.
Move for approval.
Moved by Brian,
Second.
second by Dave. Roll call, please.
Calamaris,
Yes.
Payleitner,
Abstain?
Bongard,
Yes.
Bancroft,
Yes.
Lencioni,
Yes.
Petrola,
Yes.
Wirball,
Yes.
Besner,
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes. 6A, Community and Economic Development. Recommendation to include ordinance of the City of St. Charles, Kane and DuPage Counties, Illinois, approving a tax increment redevelopment plan and redevelopment project for the Pheasant Run redevelopment project area. Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm actually going to be covering the next 3 items. So under Community and Economic Development, items A, B, and C. These are all pertaining to the Pheasant Run TIF. On January 3rd, we held a public hearing to hear comments from the public. That did also include a presentation from our TIF consultant, Kane McKenna. Upon closing that public hearing, that kind of puts us into the last phase of TIF adoption. So these are 3 items that are 3 different ordinances. The first ordinance is basically approving the plan and redevelopment project. That's the actual document. Next is the project area, so it's the area that the TIF is in. And then lastly, you are adopting the ordinance, which essentially establishes the TIF district. So this is, of course, at the committee level. If it receives a favorable recommendation, it would go to the February 6th City Council meeting.
Questions or comments? 6A.
I have one point of
Yes, Paul.
clarification. The things that we were talking about in the public hearing, as in, we have no fixed dollar amounts in any of this, we do not have proposal costs, those are things that will be coming forward. We're basically approving the structure of this TIF more than approving all of the contents as far as bid process and everything else, correct?
Yeah, those are just estimates and would not be bared by the city themselves. They're just kind of estimates that would be considered TIF eligible in the future, but not to be bared by the city.
Okay.
Any other questions? Yes, Brian?
Yeah, so the actual dollar amount for the TIF, though, for the entire TIF is $42 million, is that correct? Is that the?
That's the proposed, their estimated budget.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Ed?
Is there any way to coax them into trying to modify that tower so it doesn't look the way it does? You know, I've been driving by there, and I have seen a lot of work that's done. There's some cleanup that's been done, so it does look a little bit, I guess, neater, for lack of a better word, and some of the walls have been going up there. But there's still, you know, some curtains and stuff hanging out the windows. I don't know how much control we have over that, so.
Are you talking about in the immediate concern of just
the tower itself?
The tower itself.
Yeah,
so
we've got some curtains hanging out and all that stuff.
I do know that I believe that the demolition has been completed, and it was actually completed a while ago, and now they were just going through and kind of getting rid of some of the debris. We are starting to have conversations with them about the next phase, which is a structural analysis of not just the tower, but all the buildings that are remaining to see if anything else needs to be removed in the immediate future.
Yeah, because the tower itself, I think some of those windows, whether they're solid panes of glass in there or not, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but I think the curtain's blowing out.
Alderperson Besner, I will just jump in real quick that I did email the ownership group last week and ask for an update. They were meeting on Thursday or Friday, and we're supposed to provide an update, so I did follow up with them today to ask if they did have any status update, specifically in reference to securing the tower, closing up the windows, and then giving us the structural analysis on it. That was agreed to as part of the October letter that they sent us that was included with the intent to demolish the property. So as soon as I get that update, I will share that with council.
Thank you. Just be a simple thing. Thank you.
Questions? Okay. Can I have a motion and a second, or redo that? Yeah.
Move for approval.
Second. Moved by Todd, seconded by Bill. Roll call, please.
Calamaris?
Yes.
Payleitner?
Yes.
Bongard?
Yes.
Bancroft?
Yes.
Lencioni?
Yes.
Petrola?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes. 6B, recommendation to approve an ordinance of the City of St. Charles, Kane, and DuPage Counties, Illinois, designating the Pheasant Run redevelopment project area of said city a redevelopment project area pursuant to tax increment. Allocation Redevelopment Act.
Move approval.
Moved by Paul,
Second.
second by Dave. A roll call, please.
Calamaris?
Yes.
Payleitner?
Yes.
Bongard?
Yes.
Bancroft?
Yes.
Lencioni?
Yes.
Petrola?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes. We have 6C, recommendation to approve an ordinance of the City of St. Charles, Kane, and DuPage Counties, Illinois, adopting tax increment allocation financing for the Pheasant Run Development Project area. Motion and a second, please.
Move for approval.
Moved by Brian, seconded by,
I think Ed got it.
oh, Ed. Okay, roll call.
Calamaris?
Yes.
Payleitner?
Yes.
Bongard?
Yes.
Bancroft?
Yes.
Lencioni?
Yes.
Petrola?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes. Any public comment tonight? Okay, seeing none. Any additional items from the mayor, council, or staff? Rita?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been observing and reading and taking note that the county is beginning the process of revisiting and reviewing their ethics ordinance. And it reminded me of a promise I had made to our previous colleague, Alderman Stellato, that I would bring it up to look it over again, especially when it comes with the election coming down the road, that maybe we need to have a conversation. So I was just wondering, I mean, it doesn't have to involve staff at this level or whatever, that maybe at an upcoming committee meeting, that we as council members, committee members, could have a discussion to possibly update some lacking or unclear language in our ethics ordinance.
I don't know if you're prepared right now. I find that.
No, not for,
interesting,
no,
but-
to put it on a future agenda.
Oh, okay.
That's
Well, maybe
my
we can talk,
question.
'cause I'm curious your thoughts. So
Yeah,
we're
well,
gonna
you know what,
discuss-
every time it comes up, it seems like whatever we talk about isn't included. And then I thought, oh, well, maybe we're stuck with it, and then reading that the county's revisiting theirs, which is, you know, I don't know, 3 or 4 times the length of ours,
I think we should always take.
then, yeah, then we could take a look, yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Could we see what other communities are doing, surrounding communities or other communities, what their ethics ordinances are or policies, just to get a general idea of what, to have that conversation?
Yeah, we certainly can. A lot of them will mirror the state statute, but what I will say is there will probably be enough, I'll say micro differences in them that you'll end up with a hodgepodge of a lot of different ideas. So what I would just request is is council as a majority interested in exploring this, and 2, what the specific parameters that we're looking to adjust are, just so we could do research on that at a staff level if that was the direction.
And thanks, Heather, that would be my goal with the conversation, to answer just your questions. Not ready tonight, but just kind of putting it out there, maybe, you know, put your...
I think it's worth having a conversation. If it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't, or if it does, great, you know, and we can just talk about it and see where it goes. And
Great, thank you.
Can I
Yes,
ask?
right.
Sorry. What is the initial concern of what might be lacking in the ethics ordinance right now?
Well-
So is there something that we feel like is not in there that we're trying to block?
That we're trying to...
Or trying to block
Okay.
or trying to do, like,
No.
what am I missing? Like,
No.
we're going to explore it, but what are we exploring?
Yeah, well, that would be the idea. You know, that I have been reading to Alderman Wirball's recommendation, what other cities do and what's included. You know, and I know that back 2 years ago, Alderman Stellato and I had a conversation, and he had said that he understood my position in about having official from the dais, not personal, do whatever you want personal, this is just an example.
Gotcha.
To have from the dais endorsements at local elections. And he had said, and it was in the paper, he acknowledged a possible need for the city council to discuss future boundaries for endorsements. And I think that, and when I'm looking at other things, that, Nick, if I'm correct, maybe, you know, that would fall under an ethics ordinance, that kind of policy. So, for example, and if there's other things anybody else wants to address, you know. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Todd. Go ahead. I was just going to say, I would support discussing it. We don't have to get into the weeds today. And I appreciate Heather's comments about, you know, other communities adopting the state statute, but so what? Why can't we go beyond the state statute? So let's talk about it.
So my recommendation is, before we put anything on an agenda, could you circulate the ethics piece for the city council? If we just start with that, everybody can read it. And then we
It's
can-
pretty much the gift ban, that's it. Yeah, that's all that we cover right now.
But circulate,
Yeah.
let's see what it looks like.
Yeah, I can include that in a Friday update.
Yeah, great.
Alderman Baylager,
Yeah.
do you know, what brought up the countywide conversation? Was there something that they were concerned about? I'm always...
Sorry, you know what? I don't remember. But I do remember, and I read their, you know, I can get it back to you, or you can Google it, you know, and they'll talk about it. It's, shucks, I don't remember, I'm sorry. Yeah. Did you know, Mr.?
Did it have to do with political contributions?
Yeah, I think you're right, yeah. It was something that wasn't enforceable. And so I think you're right, Steve, that's what it was, yeah, something like that. That they had put limits or something, and the language wasn't enforceable, so they want to revisit it. And whatever else tidbits were to be discussed.
It has to do with political contributions from vendors. The county had a separate rules than the state did. It was more restrictive at the county level because they did not want to operate the same way with vendors as the state does. It was a more restrictive ethics ordinance. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. Not that we have an issue with that, but.
Any other questions or comments? So staff have a comfortable idea of what we're looking for?
I think that's what I've seen right now is the direction is pretty nebulous. So rather than just bring an ordinance to a committee meeting, I know we want to circulate the policy. I understand that.
Yeah.
But I'd also like to know specifically, and if it is specific to election endorsements, I think we need to say that so that Nick has direction and staff have direction. and that the city council is well aware of what's being asked. So when they discuss it, and we decide to discuss it, we take a roll or a poll on who wants to discuss that topic, because it seems like it's leaning in that direction. So if that's the case, let's be open on what we specifically want to discuss.
Right, thank you. And I didn't want it to be specifically just what Rita wants to talk about. You know, if we're opening a conversation, maybe there's other things that, other members, you know, could, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well,
Sorry.
I welcome taking a look at it, but if we are, I also think that there should be, you know, what are we taking a look at? What are we focusing on? So we could focus ourselves, because, I mean, we could take a look at every single thing that I do. But I don't mind, especially taking a look at the ethics and how we conduct ourselves. I don't think that we can do that too much.
Yeah.
But I also would like to see some direction from anybody who had a concern ahead of time, or just a direction that they thought that we needed to look at. I'd welcome those ahead of time, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Brian?
I think Todd made a great point. Why don't we distribute our ethics ordinance, get some other surrounding area, whatever policies or guidelines they have, and maybe that's the start of the conversation. Maybe we're satisfied with what we have, maybe we're not, maybe we add something, and just kind of take it one step at a time. I don't think we need to make it a very, give you guys a ton of work to do, but just get the conversation going and see where it goes. I think that's probably the best
So based
approach.
on that feedback, then maybe what I'd recommend is circulating our existing ethics ordinance, and I can pull several of the surrounding communities within Kane County, distribute that within our Friday update, and then council can weigh in on that and maybe provide me some feedback before adding it to an agenda. That way we know if we even need to do
Thanks,
that.
Heather. That would be great. Thank you.
Could I, just to add one thing, perhaps could you find out if IML maybe has
Yeah, so there
okay.
are several model ordinances, and again, a lot of them will mirror that state statute with minor tweaks to it, but I'm happy to pull several surrounding ones as well as model ones.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. You have no executive session tonight? No, okay. Then can I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Brian, second by Dave. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned.
Yeah, I don't want to bring it up.
And you don't,
I'll bring it up. From the council, from here. But I can walk out 5 feet and say, as Alderman Bonner,
no,
I'm
you
endorsing.
cannot say,